what if, when you were looking for a new cozy game to play, you got chased off a cliff by robots and fell into your new farm? Yeah, that's me. Doloc Town is an indie farming game developed by RedSaw Games, and that might just be the newest addition to your cozy game roster, especially if you like story games. With over 8 side quests on top of a main story and a bunch of friendship quest lines from various townfolk, be the reason I like to call it more narrative driven, and much more close to games like Starbound and Stardew Valley, for example. There's also hats and accessories to customize your traveller, including cute customizable drones that will do the fighting of many monsters and bosses alongside you. Now, upon starting the game, you're given an intro that does mention Seth falling off a cliff. I'm not making that as a joke, that's part of the story here. Before waiting up to meet Cassia, one of the mentioned friendship questline companions and one of almost 30 meetable townsfolk. She helps you back on your feet and then teaches you the basic to the farming aspect of this game. Now, you may have noticed this is a 2D side-scroller, so instead of planting in a field or a top-down perspective that a lot of games in this genre tend to do, here you plant upwards on rows on columns. There are a bunch of crops here, including furniture for you to decorate your farm with, which I know some of us are going to go crazy with. And whilst in most farming sims, rain can be a blessing and gives you a free day to go do the mining or any other tasks you need to do, here you have to be careful, as it can be acidic, which means it will damage you and your crops. But the devs didn't leave you defenseless, don't worry, it's not as scary as it sounds, so you get plastic wrapping pretty early on to help protect the crops, and there's also helmets you can get for yourself. There is an endgame file I had a look at, there is so much more further down that you don't need to worry there. You are not defenseless at any point during this game, and yes, in endgame, there is a greenhouse. Now, the majority of the early game crops won't be affected as heavily. They're keratinized, maybe they'll have a less harvest, that sort of thing, but you can also check the health of your crops, so you don't need to worry too much. But the pre-war crops that we are all familiar with, they will melt and be heavily damaged if left exposed. So they're the ones I would recommend you prioritise putting the wrapping over if you've got less resources early on. And I will add, from my experience so far, it hasn't been too difficult, like I've mentioned, to manage this, so don't stress too much and please don't be worried, it isn't as challenging or scary as it first sounds. There are also thunderstorms which can strike your crops, which can damage and kill them too, but you can craft objects and things around your farm to mitigate that, such as a lightning pole, which I believe will fill up a battery. As mentioned before, when I say it's fully out today, the game has been in early access since 2025, but you can tell they've put a lot of love and work into it over time with the amount of updates. They've been regular and they've been focused on adding new things or events, quality of life, main story updates, fishing, and with a full release, the main story will conclude finally, and that is an aspect I've seen people want the most. A lot of the reviews will say it ends abruptly, that sort of thing, but that happens with early access. We're not going to give you everything off the get-go because they want you to be excited for the final update, the full release. And from what I've played of it, what I have seen, yeah, it's going to be cool. But how does it feel to play? Well, honestly, it's smooth and charming. I'm about 10 hours into my personal playthrough and I'm having a lot of fun so far. The farming aspect is charming and cute. Honestly, I would summarize the whole game as that. It's charming and cute. But farming isn't the only thing to do. And I know one activity you guys are all going to love is fishing. And this might be one of the most charming fishing minigames I've played in a farming sim, as it gives you both tap and hold options in a quite intuitive and engaging aspect, but it isn't strenuous or overly stressful in my opinion. And as you guys know, I struggled to get into Stardew's fishing for so long, and the lack of minigame for it in Mystery, for example, kind of made me sad, but also thankful because I genuinely could not get on with Stardew's. I really do not like fishing there. So here, I actually do like it. And it feels charming and familiar, while also having some challenge at times, which honestly I think is needed. It isn't as... it's not Stardew's. I really don't like that fishing. Also, I just really like taking my boat out here and just sitting there with my rod. But if you don't like fishing, there is ranching. For those of us who like looking after cows and chickens, this game has that for you as well. And honestly, just look at the chicken, 10 out of 10 for it being green. It's so peak. And there's a variety of crops you can cook with, because there's also cooking. So if you like being a little chef, this game can be for you. And if you don't, you can just sell them to your heart's content. This isn't necessarily a play aspect, but it kind of is, and I really wanted to mention the art and music here. The art style for both the pixel counterpart and the promotional material are incredibly sweet. Like, I love how colourful and round it is. It's so... I want to eat it. It's like a bubble. Does this make sense to you? And I mean, just look at it. Just look at this chicken. Look at it. I know I keep mentioning the chickens. And with how they draw the main character, it reminds me heavily of Crosscode's Leia in some of the expressions, but combined with the atmosphere in game just made me feel warm and fuzzy. It's just so... it's so sweet, you know? It's charming and sweet. They're telling me to stop calling it charming and sweet, guys. This is a joke, they're not. And when it comes to the music, I'm not very good at describing this. This is not my forte, as you guys know. But I'd say it captured the vibe perfectly. It's relaxing, cozy, and borderline hopeful given the setting, because when you hear post-apocalypse, you have an idea in mind of gloom. But the music is far from that. It's lo-fi and cheery in just the right way, where it's still got that gloom in it, don't get me wrong, but it isn't too prevalent to make you sad and distract from what you're doing here. It's got that hopefulness to it. In the same way that the cheeriness isn't overpowering either. Do not worry, you're not going to be out here at a rave exploring the ruins of a city. It fits, it's just really cute. So, what is actually new in the full release? Because you haven't really mentioned that, and I've played since early access, I want to know what's going to be added. Well, the biggest thing, which I briefly touched upon, is the main story conclusion, and alongside that, there is a new map, the Old City Ruins. I did venture into it, and it's going to be a fun area to go through, but I'm not going to show a lot of that to you guys in case you don't want spoilers, because I don't want... I like my story, and it is going to be tied to the story in some regard, right? And along to the overworld and expansion of this new area, your farm can be expanded now. The final farm tier is going to be in the game, which is going to do incredibly handy alongside the automation system being added. I didn't get around to fully going into depth with the automation system, but the parts I did do were really fun. I'm really bad at doing anything automated, from to Minecraft, Stardew, whatever. I prefer to just go and water crops manually, but the bits I did do here, they're pretty good. And from what I understand, people have really wanted something like this if you'd offer the mods, which is something this game does have support for. And along with that, there's new monsters for the new mentioned area maybe, or maybe just in others, who knows? And new fish, new quests, new decorations, so much being added on top of what is already there. And also, little cheeky mention for you, there is a Walkman now. And that does mean you can listen to any tracks you like on repeat and go around and explore with them. Now, the game isn't without issues, and I want to reiterate that, no game is perfect, that sort of thing. So I know so far I've been like, this is amazing, you should play it. But they do have a known bug list, that sort of thing, these things will happen. But to me, the biggest issue I had was the combat. That was the biggest hurdle. Whilst most games in this genre, they give you a sword and they just throw you in the mines like that. That is it. That's the combat. Congrats, go beat something, or maybe you get a hammer, or maybe there's something else like a slingshot. But here, you get a cute little robot drone who shoots for you. Of course, there is nothing stopping you from still hacking away with your pickaxe like I try to do. These are customizable with upgrades and parts, and we are getting more of a full release as well. And the reason I say it was my biggest hurdle and issue was because for the longest time I couldn't figure out how to manually aim the drone like you're able to do after I clicked onto a tool or something. So if you're struggling to get the drone to aim like you want and for you, because there is an auto aim mode, you just press A, or whatever is down in this bottom left corner. I'm not sure if I missed a part of a tutorial or it wasn't explained, where it says if you click off you can do it that way, that sort of thing. Knowing me, I might have glanced over it. Well, I'm not the smartest being, so please learn from my mistakes if you do the same, just by accident. But once I figured it out, it was much easier. It's not too bad, and like I said, there's customizable upgrades, you can change how it shoots. So the first one is a little slow, but the end game one, it's scary. Look at how big it got suddenly. That's my son. If you are interested in playing it for yourself, please do. I would recommend picking this up just for the art and the music alone, never mind the story and the rest of it. I don't want to come off like a salesman. Like I said, I was given a copy to review early for you by Logoi and RedSaw, so genuinely thanks to them. There will be some natural bias towards that, but I genuinely would have picked this up at some point. So if you're a fan of cozy games or 2D side-scrollers like Terraria or Starbound, it's definitely worth a try. I don't think I've covered enough in this to give it a full depth of expanse. Like I said, I'm only about 10 hours in maybe to my own personal playthrough, and I haven't unlocked a lot of things, but there is so much to it. The game is about 30 hours long. You're going to get a lot of time for your money here, and there is a launch discount too, up to 20% up until the 20th of August, and they are adding a bunch of languages to be localized too, which some are still being reviewed and optimized. I believe they have a Discord, so if you've got any issues or you bump into anything in German, for example, you can let them know. So if you bump into anything, don't worry about it. It is an indie game at the end of the day. So, small team, but they're focused on giving you a good time with this. And honestly, I think they did that. Like I mentioned, the art is really cute. Look at it. And there is a system requirement. I'll put these briefly up on screen. They're also found on the Steam page, just so you get a good experience from it. The endgame save file I got to play as overwhelmed me, and I thought, oh my goodness, if I was playing this on my old laptop, it would have maybe struggled. I think it still would have run it, but we might have had some issues. And if you're interested in seeing me play this more than just as a review, I will be streaming it tonight. After this video goes live, I'll have a waiting room poll on YouTube. You can come say hi on Twitch, YouTube, whichever you want. Come say hi, tell me your thoughts on it. You can witness me try and fight a lightning storm. But yeah, a bit different to my usual stuff, but thank you so much, guys. If you did enjoy, please give it a like and a comment. Just say, this looks really cute. And give me a little subscribe if you're new. We do this sort of thing. So, like I said, I'm so thankful to both Logoi and RedSaw for letting me do this. It has been an honour, and it genuinely made my week. I've had nothing to do over the weekend apart from do this. I was like, I need to do a good review, and I don't think I did good enough, so if you guys see this, I'm sorry, I didn't do your cute game justice, but it is so good. Guys, please go play it. Anyway, bye-bye.